Aiming feels different from controller to controller. Let's talk. Hey everyone, it's the Photo Techie. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is about aim response of different controllers and how different manufacturers are deciding what kind of algorithms they're going to use with their thumbsticks. And I'm hoping by sharing this method, you'll be able to kind of test yourself, your favorite controllers, and see why you like them and what kind of behavior, the aiming behaviors those controllers have. And if in the future, if you're shopping for a different controller, you might be able to see that if you want to try something similar or you want to go with something that's totally different. I'll be using the Gamepad tester and the precision tester. I will be using the precision ring for the precision tester because I'm not too precise trying to make a circle within the maximum boundaries, but you can do this without the need of the precision rings. I have a few controllers I'll be showing the test results of. So Gambit, which is my favorite. I call this like a smoother sort of aiming. Wolverine V2 Chroma, again, in the smoother sort of aiming category. Then I have the Eswap S, which I will describe as a bit of a hyper response, a quicker response, twitchy you can even say. And the Fusion Pro 3, again, bit of a hyper response. And the last one will be the Gamepad Pro by Snakebyte because that's doing something very differently. So let's start with the Gambit. All right, so I have the Gambit connected, and if you've seen the test results of this before, this has built-in dead zone, so you'll see the sticks being really centered. This one has actually a lot of playtime. I would say at least over 150 to 200 hours, definitely, because this is like one of my favorites on Xbox, and I do use it a lot. So the way to use the precision tester is you can do a circularity test. So the sticks, they have two axes. So the x-axis is your horizontal, and then you have the vertical, which is y. Now, if there is no circular maximum gate, the sticks are going to make a square if there is no, software dead zone being applied to them. Just to prove that, if we take this faceplate off, now the sticks don't have they will be just going maximum values. And if I do a precision test, if I do this circularity test with these off, you will see they are going to make a square. Now, those are the maximum values. So there is like no kind of a software dead zone being applied to it. The sticks are doing that. And why I think I like the Gambit so much is because what PDP has done here, they've decided the physical, so the sticks are sitting right in the middle and they haven't put any software kind of like a maximum dead zone within it. They just let it, so this is like the raw sort of output. But what happens is when you put the faceplate on, now they have a physical thumbstick gate. So this is what's stopping your sticks going completely out, and that's the error it is giving. So it's not like a software kind of thing. You see how the faceplate is sitting? I have a little bit of a more response here, a little bit less there. But with the built-in dead zone and the response curve these guys are using, oh, this actually feels really good. So nothing like a maximum sort of the outer dead zone being applied to the sticks software-wise. And yeah, this works. This shows the circularity error. One thing that's very important when you're doing the circularity arrays is see if it's completely, like if you have so much registered on one end and the other end doesn't register that much, that's a bit worrying because you might feel inconsistency. So you want it to be a little bit like closer like this. If it's not completely perfect, still okay. But what we want to see is, so this is one thing. So we know that they are not using a software maximum dead zone. But what we want to see is how these sticks perform in the precision tester, what they are doing when you are moving them within the maximum boundaries. Do they have a different kind of algorithm going on? Do they add values to the diagonals or to the maximum absolute corners? So let's test that in the precision tester now. All right, so here I have the precision tester open and the Gambit is connected to it. If I just do a maximum, you will see the thumbstick gates where they stop it, like what kind of a shape it's making. But we want to see what will the shape be if we just do it within the maximum boundaries. So I'm just going to put a precision ring on and let me just make sure it's seating properly. So now if I do this, I'm not going 100%. What kind of a shape is allowing me to make? Can we make a circle? Is it adding anything? Is it doing any wonky thing to the response? No. So it's a circular sort of response within the boundaries. And that's why I think I much prefer this. Like it felt smoother to me. Whilst gaming, the aiming of this controller actually feels really good. I think they do something with the built-in dead zones where you start moving the stick, it sort of counters the dead zone or something. So I have a feeling like I don't feel that dead zone hinders me at all. And after like the hours of gaming I've put on this controller, it still performs perfectly. So this is like my preferred, even though I can play with other controllers, but if I had to pick one for aiming, I really like this kind of a response. So I'm going to move on to the Wolverine V2 Chroma. So I have the Wolverine V2 Chroma now connected to the Gamepad tester, and you can see the values are sort of, because I have the dead zones disabled completely, so you know it has a bit of a jitter of rest values and stuff. When you're moving the stick, you know, it comes back to center. So yeah, it causes a little bit drift if you have no dead zones, but very minimal in-game dead zones can, you know, rid of the drift. If I do the circularity test, you will see what I mean. This feels like it's the thumbstick gate again they're using. So whatever the maximum values they have, is that, you know, how they've calibrated it, how they position the thumbstick module inside. The thumbstick gate is what is stopping the maximum values, because they are a little bit different from, you know, all four corners. Now I'm going to take this one into the precision tester. Let's see that one. Alright, so in the precision tester, same thing. It will show, you know, the maximum shape is doing. Again, I'm going to use the precision ring just to see what kind of shape it will make within the maximum boundaries. And this one is, again, is one of those smoother varieties. I can actually do a circle. This is actually a very, very good response. Also a very smooth responding controller. I think, you know, for L6, what Razer has done with the Wolverine V2 Chroma is really, really good. Probably like the best calibrated ALPS 6. The reason I say ALPS because the Gambit is using Favor Union's, you know, highest model stick. This one is I mean, I don't know if they're using Favor Union, but they do feel like ALPS to me, consider, you know, when I use other controllers and see. So this is very good. Again, aiming with this controller feels so smooth. Yeah, very, very good what Razer's done here. Now I'm going to move on to Fusion Pro 3, and you'll see what I mean as a hyper response. Alright, so the Fusion is connected now, and this one is using the maximum sort of outer dead zones. If I do a circularity test, so you can see the resting values are, you know, the little bit minor movement from with the recent update, they start registering, so they have made the built-in dead zones very, very minimal. I think this is like 1% sort of dead zone they're using, because if your value is within 1%, the stick resets. So that's something that the PowerA is doing. And yeah, so very minimal dead zones. But why I say that this is using the maximum sort of software dead zone. So at the moment the faceplate is on, and I will do a circularity test. And those are the ratings I have, 12.71 and then 12 point whatever on the other side. If I take this faceplate off, so now I'm using basically the full range of motion. And now these ALP sticks, their maximum turning sort of circle is like 23 degrees each side. So they do behave like, you know, they get stuck if you go outer of that range. But if I do that, you will see it will stay at that whatever 12.5, 12.7 they've used. Even though I've taken that faceplate off, the sticks should be making like a square, should be going to 20, 21% error, but they don't. That means is a software sort of maximum dead zone applied to these. And the good thing is actually calibrated very well with the faceplate. So it's not like you are losing anything. It still goes to the maximum values when the faceplate is on. Now, where this controller differs is in the response within the maximum boundaries, and why I say this is a bit hyper feeling. Even in my original review, I said this felt a bit twitchy to me. I'll show you that now. Okay, here I have the Fusion Pro 3 connected to the precision tester. Again, I'll just do a test. You'll see the shape it's making. And now when I put the precision ring on, you will see the shape the controller makes. I'm just going to make sure that it's sitting properly. So I'm doing a circular motion, but you will see the shape it's going to make. It's adding values to the diagonals. Now we've seen this before when I did the G7 SE aiming update, but that one has some issues because every step is not smooth. It's like little bit, so that adds very differently. I'll try and put a clip of that one. But this is, so these addition that the controller is doing, that's where it felt the response. Every controller that I've tried, which has a bit of a hyper response, twitchy, has this kind of a behavior. But the good thing about this controller is quick aiming, like flicking from left to right, like that quick flicking is amazing on this, and I do feel that. that I can really do like, quick flicks with the Fusion Pro 3 much better than what I can do on the bit of a smoother feeling ones. So it's a bit of a different feeling response. I did try the enhanced and the Spectra, and they don't do that. So this is, I think, the Fusion. I have never had the older Fusion, but this is what PowerA is using. They decided to do that. It's a software maximum boundary, like outer dead zone. Also, what they're doing is they're adding some stuff to the diagonals when you are within the maximum boundaries, and that's what makes it feel a bit more twitchy and a bit more sort of hyper response. At times, I've even added in-game dead zones when I was getting used to these, just to make it feel right. I'm going to move on to the Thrustmaster Eswap S. So here we have the Eswap S connected now to the Gamepad tester, and the center values. This one has 1% dead zones that you can disable in the software if you want to, but I had some issues with the software, so I'm not using that at the moment. So center values, 1% dead zone. It has a 1% outer dead zone as well. This is again a software maximum dead zone. And this is my first experience of CNK thumbstick modules. I didn't even know there was a company called CNK that was making thumbsticks. So I think they made this in 2020, and this is the only controller I have seen that is using that thumbstick module. The specs feel exactly like what the Favor Union specs are. When I was reading their specifications, 2 million rotation and 1 million button presses. So I don't know, they look like, they're orange as well, just like the Favor Union, but the lettering is different and it's got some symbols on it. And so if I do the circularity of this one, you will see what I mean by the maximum software dead zone. You see it's like very equally distributed within the maximum circle. Now, like I said, it has 1% dead zone in the maximum sort of thing. So it's going, even if I take the shell off, it will still make that. But what this one is doing, why I put this in the hyper category, is like it's doing a very similar thing to what the Fusion Pro 3 is doing. I'll show you that in the precision tester. So this is the Eswap S now in the precision tester. I'll just show you a maximum. So like in the Gamepad tester, you saw the maximum, what it's doing is 8% error rate. So it's doing that, rounded corner square. Now, if we put the precision ring on, you will see that this is very similar response to what the Fusion Pro 3 is doing. And again, I put this in the hyper sort of category. So it's adding a little bit to the diagonals. And I have to say, if you want a controller with sort of like quick target acquisition, my days, this is like what they've done here with these thumbsticks is absolutely amazing. I'm really enjoying, playing with this at the moment. Currently working on a full review on this one. Should be out soon. But yeah, so this is my observation. So any controller that has a bit of a twitchy feeling aiming and, you want to move quickly, they are adding little bit values to the diagonals, okay? And the other like smoother feeling ones, they're just completely round. They're just doing sort of like round feeling. Now I'm going to put the Gamepad Pro just to show you, that's doing something a little bit differently. So let's do that one. Oh, so this is the Gamepad Pro by Snakebyte, and it has the K-Silver's Hall effect sticks. And yeah, it's got built-in dead zones, I think like 3%. And if we do the circularity test, it's just like Hall effect, it's completely sort of circle. But if you can notice, it has those extra inputs going on to the absolute maximum 4 corners. And this shows in the response of the precision tester, you will see what's a little bit of a different feeling on this one. So this is the Snakebyte's Gamepad Pro now in the precision tester, and it's calibrated, it's got a maximum dead zone going on, so it will make a circle. But what's interesting is if I put the precision ring on, and what Snakebyte have decided to sort of use the K-Silver Hall effect sticks response is quite interesting to me. So within the maximum boundaries, it will make this diamond logo type shape. And this is like, it feels that it's got the absolute sort of 4 corners, going quite hyper sort of response, and then the diagonals are smoothing out. And honestly feels like a hybrid of that smooth aiming I talked about, the Gambit, and the hyper sort of aiming of the Fusion Pro 3 and the Eswap S. A very different way of doing things. I did really like using this controller. It was very nice to aim with. Unfortunately, like with every Hall effect, you know, I tried the G7 SE and this one as well. It does take a little bit getting used to it, but it's interesting to see what manufacturers are doing, what kind of a response their sticks are doing. I honestly thought that there wasn't much into it. Like it was the stick actual manufacturer that was different to different. So like we have the Favor Union in the Gambit, and we have the Alps in the Fusion Pro 3, and then we have C&K now in the Eswap S. But it's not, it's like what the manufacturers are, you know, the designer of the controllers, like what algorithms they are using for the response. And I found this very interesting actually, like how you actually feel this difference whilst aiming. Now this video was not to show that one is better than the other. It's basically a way for you to find out what you like. So if you have a controller that you love using right now, and you think that you perform the best and you love the aiming, so it's not about the whole controller, just the aiming, this can be a way, I'll leave a link to this precision tester, this can be a way for you to just see what kind of a response that controller has, and you know, make a decision for your future purchases. Which one would you like to you know, get next, if you want something similar, or if you want to try maybe if you have a smooth response one, maybe you want to try a hyper response controller and see what that's like. I will definitely be including these sort of results in my future reviews and everything. Currently working on the Thrustmaster Eswap S, also in my comparisons that I'll be doing going forward. But I honestly found this very interesting, and I do hope this is interesting for you as well, and useful. And so please, it'd make my day if you share what's your favorite controller for aiming, you know, not a whole controller, just for aiming. In the comments below. That'd be absolutely amazing. And I'd like to say thanks to everybody who subscribed to the channel. Honestly, your support means a lot, and yeah, it's absolutely amazing, the response I'm getting. And hopefully this video was good for you to watch and had some useful info. And thank you so much for watching this. Hopefully I'll catch you in one of my other ones. Bye for now.